I don't have the mallet. That's the one thing I do.
The collective will.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for coming on down here, especially in the cold. Good to finally be back together in person for a change. We'll start with a couple of announcements tonight. We're always looking for presentation ideas, so whether you're willing to give one or you know someone that has a presentation they'd be willing to do, or if you have a topic request, if there's something, some people have brought up, hey, let's do it back to the basics at least once a year so we can look at, we get new members all the time that have been recently licensed. It'd be good for that kind of thing. If you got any requests, any ideas, let us know. And especially if you're willing to give a presentation, we'd be happy to have it. Club practice is going to continue Saturdays at 8 at the Senate Coney Island on Plymouth Road in Stark. We still need volunteers for the 2-meter net. Please reach out to Hero, Alpha Delta 8 Alpha Echo if you're able to assist. Even if it's not a regular rotation, you just want to take it once every couple of months, try it out, see how it feels. It's always a good time. I certainly recommend everyone run a social net like this at least once. All right. The February 28th general meeting will be held at the Plymouth Library, thanks to the work put in by Mike, K8AGY. The Livonia Library meeting room availability is not clear if we're going to be able to use that in 2022. For January, we'll let you know. We're not sure where that's going to be yet, but we'll certainly announce that by email. The turkey trot
will not be at the Plymouth Library.
Yes, January will not be at the Plymouth Library. Turkey trot, we need operators this year. If you're able to support acting as an emergency radio operator for the 2021 Detroit Turkey Trot, please see Mr. Keith Maven, K8AUO, after the meeting, or contact John Dudek if you're familiar with him. Kilo Charlie 8, Charlie Romeo Kilo to sign up. We really need some help this year. All right, something we started a couple of months ago, I think in September. I think we were short in September a presenter, so instead we did a homework topic. I think we're going to continue that every month. So this month's homework topic for both November and December is going to be radio programming. No meeting in December, so take the time, in the colds to stay warm in the shack and program the memories from the previous homework assignments into your radios. At the bottom of the agenda, if you don't have a copy, I've got all the previous topics we brought up for homework topics. All right, our presentation tonight is going to be on the Emergency Operations Center, sometimes also known as the training room here. Mr. Bill, 88WA, is going to let us know on what the Emergency Operations Center is and what it does and what our role is as emergency radio operators.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you for doing the presentation tonight.
Unfortunately, Director Khan, who is the Director of Emergency Management for Livonia, had hip surgery last Monday, a couple weeks ago, or Tuesday, and he had to go back to the doctor today, so didn't feel like he can manage it very well. Typically, the EOC is that half of the room where the curtain draws, and there's normally an oval set of tables there, and monitors go on it. You can bring your laptop connections, phones, and that becomes the operations center. And then between those doors there is an emergency operations communication center in there, which lunches off the communications center upstairs, the regular dispatch center. What sort of emergencies? Well, they've had several. They had the big storm. And when they got all the viaducts underneath that go on the main streets flooded. There was only one street that actually is surface level, and so they had all the fire trucks and police cars running back and forth across that. Well, if a train had come along, then they're stuck. So they activated this partially, and just to be able to coordinate getting people back and forth. Because 2 of the fire departments are on the south side of the railroad tracks and are firehouses, and 3 of them are on the north side. But they were all deployed. Every unit was out for that. There's been a couple others, but things that they're really concerned about are all the industrial areas we have here. They've had some fairly significant fires with those, and when they have a big fire and that might be toxic gas release, And there are a few companies here that do have chemicals involved. There's a possibility that they would activate the EOC for that because of having to maybe evacuate areas. What does it mean for us as amateur radio operators and the Livonia EOC? We provide alternate means of communicating for the city of Livonia with Wayne County, other counties, or the state of Michigan. Last time we were activated was for Y2K. Those of you who may remember that, I'm not sure some of you all are young or not. But when the calendar rolled over in January, between December 31st, 1999 and January 1st, 2000, there was a strong possibility that some of the chips would not work and some of the computers would all fail, or some of the computers would fail. A good number of the computers would fail. So they activated the EOC. They actually had amateur radio operators down here, and nothing happened, which is good. Well, it could be for a large-scale event when the 800 system, which is what the police and fire use, could be overloaded. A good example of what that was when the Edenville Dam broke up north, or mid-state. The 800 system, the trunk system, was overloaded, so they could not communicate between any of the, like if we wanted to talk to Washington County, they could not do that because Edenville Dam disaster had just taken over the whole trunk system. They could communicate from the tower to all of their own police cars without problem. They just couldn't talk to anybody else. So one of the possibilities is, in that case, they might activate us, come down here, and be able to talk to Wayne, to Washington, some of the other surrounding counties, if there was another emergency that they wanted, such as an airplane going down. You know, when that happens, then they try and coordinate as much resources as possible down to the airport, and then they backfill from the outer counties in. That's a possibility. What could be used to pass information or requests via WinLink, packet, or other digital modes. Just an example, Wayne County several years ago wanted everybody to be able to use packet. They never taught anybody how to use packet, and they didn't specify exactly how they wanted to do it, but they said they wanted everybody to be able to use packet. We're the only major EOC of the cities in Wayne County. Wayne County has an EOC, which is a joke. We're the only one that has anything that's, when it's set up, is even reasonably well put together. Not at all like some of the other major cities in Oakland County. So now, well then they said, well, we want you to be able to digitize their forms, the ICS forms, and we'll send them over 1.2 gigahertz D-Star as digital messages. There's a digital message forwarding system in the building down in Wayne County, but there's only 4 or 5, as far as I know, actually people who have the equipment capable of transmitting on 1.2 gigahertz that are members of the Wayne County ARPSC. So now they're trying to get us into WinLink. At least they're making an effort to talk to people about how to do it. Oakland County has got a major effort right now to do WinLink, and so I think it's probably going to get off the ground. Especially since one of our club members is now
Keith Armitage
is the
Emergency coordinator.
emergency coordinator for Wayne County now. Well, he's not the emergency coordinator, he's the whatever they call it, EC. So, what else does our system, our current system does? It provides, we have a APRS there and has iGate. So, we always go in and look and see, well, our building hasn't moved. We still haven't got it reprogrammed with a call sign. This now, our call sign down here now is LPD. I got the call sign for that. So we don't, when we're down here and we're using it, we won't be using our call, the club's call sign, we'll be using the call sign for the EOC. What equipment is available down here? Well, we have an ICOM 5100A, which has both analog and digital D-Star capability for both UHF and VHF. We have two Kenwood TM241s, which are 2-meter transceivers. One has a bad display, so we're looking about what could be done to replace that. We have a Kenwood TM244, which is 440 megahertz receiver. We have an FT450 HF transceiver, which is set up for voice. And we have a desktop computer in there that I don't know that anybody's really looked at. But I did get it. It's been updated within the last 2 years. So it's a lot better than the one that was in there, which was from the 1996. What do we have for antennas? We have two Diamond X200 or equivalent dual band antennas, one UHF, VHF, located on level 2 of the tower. I know you all seen the big tower up here. They have major sections, and then there's a couple minor sections, but every major section. And those two antennas are up on level 2. One is on the northeast leg, and one is on the northwest leg. We have a Comet GP98 tri-band antenna located on level 1 on the northwest leg. I.e. good for 2-meter, 440, and the 1.2 gigahertz, if we ever decide we want to provide 1.2 gigahertz capability, or if the county decides they want us to do it. And then finally we have an A99 antenna on level 1 on the northeast leg, which was originally designed for CV band. But we have used it in the 10 to 20 meter range, so we have had some success doing that. We're always looking for how can we improve the system here. One of the things might be to replace that antenna, but the question is, what could we find that would be a good vertical that we could put up there, and that would survive the weather conditions up there on the tower. We used to have an antenna that used to wrap itself around one of the legs, because when the wind got really strong, it would kind of blow into the leg and then it would catch itself there. Connection-wise, we have two hardline cables from the closet to go outside to the garage, outside the door of the garage, where there's a box mounted up on the wall. We can then go from out there to any external antenna we decide to build out there, such as a vertical or a wire antenna. Any portable antennas, we can hook up that, and then the connections here in the cabinet, which allow us to then hook up any radio we want to. We have hardline cables to the tri-band antenna, and then we have coax cables to the A99 and each of the dual band antennas. Of course, the other things that are in here are power supplies, headphones, and we keep the 6PTV antenna with a whip tune for the phone segment on the 80-meter band in there, so that we can set it up in the backyard if we ever need to activate. Or what we do right now is when we're doing Michigan QSO, we set up the 6PTV out in the backyard, and we set up the one of the wire antennas up in the south of the building. So that's what we have here. Any questions?
Bill gave us some examples on what we would be activated for. The ones I always cite in the past. The most recent, the amateur radio that I know of, at any major scale got activated, and I'm sure there was an EOC involved. It was Hurricane Matthew, when it wiped Puerto Rico out. There was no communications on the island. And of course, the government's there, they've got sat phones, they're very expensive. So what the ARRL did was they sent, I want to say 4 guys with HF kits to the islands to pass information back to the mainland. Once that information's in a non-affected area, you can transmit it by traditional means, email, phone, whatever is convenient. The one that's always interesting to me, on 9/11, buildings were down, communications were not down. Communications were just very overloaded. And I have to do a little more research on exactly what was passed and where and how. Manhattan's not really a great place to put a dipole, but I know that the amateur radio was used there as well, not because there was a large-scale natural disaster, but because the infrastructure was taxed to the point where we couldn't get information in and out. So, Bill, thanks very much for the presentation this evening. All right, start with some old business. We'll do the on-the-air report. Put your hand up if you've been on the air since our last meeting. Keep it up till we get everyone counted. I was hoping Doris was going to be here because I'd make her do the count for old time's sakes.
Roll call.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Roll call.
Roll call.
Oh, we haven't met in person in so long. We forgot. Well, you know what? We'll slide it in right now. Let me get that count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, that was all of us. All 12.
So on the hour report was 12?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, apologize. I don't have the gavel. We didn't do roll call. We haven't met in person in almost 2 years. I'll start off and we'll send it down the table here. Mike, Kilo Echo 8, Charlie Echo Hotel.
Gordon, Pt1, COJ.
Chuck WV8A.
Bill, Alpha Delta 8 with Scout.
Mike, K8AGY.
Chris, PBL.
Bob, WXAY3.
Zach, K0Y.
Keith, KE8AUO.
Joe, K8EOU.
Brian, K8 MOE.
Jerry, W9NPI.
All right, that's where we normally call for visitors, but we don't have any visitors from the EOC this time. All right, Secretary's report from K8 to AGY is available upon request. Treasurer's report and new members and license upgrades. Bill, one of these days we're going to shuffle them so you don't have to stand up and down so many times. But the Treasurer's report and new members and license upgrades, please.
I know it's here somewhere. All my paper. And do it here, or do I need to go up there?
Now you're standing. You don't have a microphone tonight, though.
Okay.
Actually, we have one on
The balance at the last meeting was, via Zoom, was $8,496. We had $165 in renewals. 2 people renewed for 2023, and 6 are renewed for 2022. I'm not sure why people are renewing for 2023, but they did. Expenses was $88 for badges, PayPal, and for the phone. So our ending balance for the as of last night was $8,573.09. Any questions? I think I've got 4 more people paid for the dues. Dues are due by the end of December. I have a list of everybody who has renewed, so if you're interested and you don't remember, you can look it up. I can look it up. We had no new applications, and as far as I know, we've had no upgrades. We were supposed to have 5 people here for the VE session last Wednesday. We had 2. We had 6 VEs here. I'm not sure what happened or why we had so many, but anyway.
Can you give us the elevator version of dues are due in just at the end of December
Yep.
or the next year, but we will not remove people from the roster until March,
Okay.
yes?
Dues are due by the end of December. We grace you till the till the close of business at the March meeting. If you do not renew your dues by the end of the March meeting, then you are dropped from the roster. You no longer get the newsletter or whatever we distribute. You cannot vote at the February meeting unless you have paid your dues.
Thank you, sir.
Okay?
be honest, confuses me sometimes as well. We won't drop it until March, but you can't run for the offices voted for in February and at the March board meeting if you're not paid, nor can you vote for the elected offices there. All right, we've got Mr. Hero's 2-meter net report here. He's always got a very healthy report. So total check-ins, I don't have the exact number, but it looks like it's hovering around 18 for the latest net. Looks like we have 18 as the number of active participants, which gives us about 100% participation. So thank you all for joining the net, and not just for checking in and out, thank you for participating in that as well. The Echolink on the 2-meter repeater is back online. The call sign is now changed to K8UNS-R. We're still looking for volunteers to run the 2-meter net. I believe Hero needs the second Thursday of every month. Please email him if you're willing to volunteer for that. His email is alpha-delta-8-alpha-echo@awrl.net. If you've got any suggestions for discussion topics, please let him know as well. The club profile file is updated for NetLogger. So for anyone that's familiar with NetLogger, any of the roles or any of the positions, titles, that sort of thing, any extra information that you can't automatically pull from QRZ, that's all organized in that file. That is updated. All right, other activities on the 2-meter repeater, the Wayne County Repeater Crawl, Fridays at 7 p.m. That's organized by Keith, KD8ZSK. And as always, we've got the NetLogger Quick Start Guide on the website. So if anyone, if you're looking to use NetLogger for our net, if you're willing to run one of the net sessions, or you're looking to use NetLogger for any of the other nets you participate in, we do have a quick start guide for NetLogger on the website.
Just, the Fall Club uses our repeater at this point on Sunday night for their net because theirs is still down, although they're hopeful with the sale of the building down there at the corner of Michigan and Southfield that sometime and after the first year that they'll be able to get power back to their repeater.
Do they lose access to it?
They lost power to it
Oh,
and access. I mean, what's interesting because there are several federal agencies that also had repeaters on top, and they lost theirs too. They pulled, the building was condemned.
oh, that'll do it.
And then Scrappers got all the electrical out of the electrical room. So that's what's the main holdup. Even though the purchase came through, they have to redo all the electrical.
I heard that.
That's extremely unfortunate.
Only the plumbing too.
I never thought about that. All of our radio equipment looks like a lot of metal hanging up in the air. That would be quite attractive.
Well, unfortunately, that's all upstairs, up in the top, and above the elevator room, but I think where they got power, main power, where the main power came in and down, that's not.
What building is it that you're talking about? Used to be behind Regency. Oh, Dearborn.
It's right across Southfield Freeway from Fort Worth headquarters.
Oh, okay. And it was attached to the Fairlane Town Center?
Well, yeah, a long time ago, they used to have a monorail.
Yeah, okay.
Then they took